Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahwashai, Ba'asham Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who, while pushing it 100% of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahwashai. And salutations to all you sincere Akimah that are pushing this gospel in all righteousness and in all sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. Alright, this is your brother about one, and I'm back with another video. Basically, what I'm just going to go into is this whole being woke or so-called woke or wokeness, because this video is was actually supposed to come out a long time ago, but I was doing a lot of digging into this, so I could get the best information that I could. So I was doing a lot of digging into the definition of wokeness and all of that. And basically, what I was wanting to get the title of this video will be something like woke culture, or this whole woke movement, or this whole woke thing. The hashtag stay woke and that woke nonsense that you see people constantly talking about. It has really exposed these devils. It has exposed E for his wickedness, and now everybody knows what these devils are up to, especially the elites, right? Because guess what? You devils have done a marvelous job at exposing yourselves, almost as much as we the Hebrew Israelites do it, man. Because half of the work, half of the wickedness, half of the exposing of Esau's wickedness has been done by Esau Edom themselves. All right, to show you, the power of the Most High and the power of this truth. Because let me just say this first. All right, this truth is number one. Okay, when it comes to exposing Esau, when it comes to exposing this devil's wickedness, this truth, this work that we're doing right here, the Akim, the highways and byways, these videos are number one, and then Esau Edom comes in number two. All right. And I want to say that it's a close second, but trying to, I want to say that it's a close second, because these devils, man, they just can't shut up about the things that they do. They can't shut up about their own actions. They're exposing themselves to the whole world and to Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh, to basically anybody that will listen, anybody that wants to hear what they have to say. All right. So now going into this, this whole quote unquote woke thing, it's basically going into, I'll get the definitions later. I'll get the definitions later. I have it right here. I just wanted to speak on it a little bit. It ranges from the systematic racism, all the hell that he has put on us, and not just our people, not just Israelites, okay? Because you will see that the whole earth has suffered under his wickedness, the animals, the plants, and even these other nations, the other hidden as well. Right? So going from systematic racism, right, the oppression of our people, the oppression of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all the hatred that he has for them and for other people as well. Because you will see that a common trend with with this woke movement is that it's going against or exposing the wickedness, right, or the evil of the so-called white male, which of course, if you are in this truth, you have the understanding that it is the Edomite male in all actuality. All right, the people that rule upon the earth right now. All right, and that's that is what this whole thing is going into, exposing those devils. All right, exposing their wickedness, right, from all the way from oppression, from theft, from the violence and the robbery that Esau has committed against the whole earth. The scripture, and a lot of scriptures are popping into my mind right now, but I'm going to get them later. And then now goes into the depravity that is allowed and celebrated in this society. And if you need an example of that, you just need to figure out what people are celebrating this month right now. What these large companies in Babylon are doing with their logos this month. All right, you should look into that as well, because this is all that because this whole woke movement, the whole woke thing encompasses all of that. So now I'm just going to go through some of these definitions, so real quick, just to get a idea of what this woke is. So this is the definition right here: wokeness, a state of being aware, especially of social problems such as racism and inequality. Right, and that's all I'm going to get from this one. And that's basically what it's going into. The main thing that is going into racism, inequality. You see, when people start to realize that that this system is not fair to some certain people, okay, and there's a hierarchy in this system. Esau Edom at the top, and Jake, right, you need so-called Negroes, Latinos and Native Americans at the bottom. They start to understand why that is actually the case. Why that's actually the case, because right now it's these Edomites that are in rulership, right? And our people are at the bottom. First and foremost, because these Edomites are in rulership, because it is always going to be, because there's a direct correlation with that. When Jake is at the top, these devils are going to be at the bottom. And likewise, when he's at the top, our people are going to be at the bottom, because as the scripture says, now when to get that precept, where the wicked are in authority, the people will mourn, and when the righteous bear through, the people rejoice. I was actually thinking more on the line of, Second Esdras 9, the 6th chapter. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right now, we're in the end of the world, and that is why all these things are happening, to show that this is the end of the world, right? Because whenever you watch these videos going into, the whole, they're going into more and more of Esau's wickedness, the ridiculous depravity, okay, the rot of this society. You see more and more people talking about how this is the end of the world. This is finally it's finally over. All right, and this whole woke culture, it encompasses all of that. So let me get this next definition. From this article, right? The article are written in the Webster. All right, stay woke. Okay, so now this word was added in September 2017, and it reads: if you frequent social media, you may well have seen posts or tweets about current events that are tagged #stay woke. Woke is a slang term that is easing into the mainstream from some varieties of a dialect called African American vernacular English, sometimes called AAVE. In AAVE, awake is often rendered as woke, as in I was sleeping but now I'm woke. And woke is increasingly used as a byword for social awareness, and that is basically what this whole woke culture is going into. People are starting to realize what's actually going on in this system, that they are living in the actual beast system that was spoken of in the book of Revelations, in the book of Revelation, one way or another. But most of these people, they don't have that complete understanding of what it is. All they know is that they are being oppressed in this kingdom, especially you Jakes, man. You should know that you are being oppressed in this kingdom constantly, right, by these devils, because what they are looking for our downfall, they are looking for our hurt, for our destruction, and they are trying to stop the what is coming up next in prophecy, which is our people, which is the kingdom of Yahweh. So continuing, it can be hard to trace slang back to its origins, since slang's origins are usually spoken, and it can be particularly difficult to trace a slang word that has its origins in a dialect. Woke's transformation into a byword for social awareness likely started in 2008 with the release of Erykah Badu's song Master Teacher. I'm not going to read all of that. So continuing on, stay woke became a watchword in parts of the black community for those who were self-aware, questioning the dominant paradigm and striving for something better. And that's basically what I wanted to get into, how this whole woke movement started. It started by highlighting the oppression of Jake, and specifically the Southern Kingdom, because Jake knew that they were catching hell in Babylon, and that the hell never actually stopped. Just changed its format, its presentation into that whole systematic racism, the prison system, the racism in houses, racism in loans, racism in basically everything that you do in this society. How Jake is always the last hired first, last hired first fired. How the school systems in this, how Jake is being pushed into the hoods, the barrios, okay, the ghettos, the reservations, and how those schools that are around that area are basically just breeding grounds for wickedness, and they don't have the same level of support, or what I'm looking for. Basically, what I'm looking for, because that all of Esau's school system is basically messed up. But it's even worse for Jake, man. That everything that is in these hoods, in where Jake is concentrated, especially in Babylon, is meant to destroy them. That's why you see so many fast food chain stores, Planned Parenthood offices, abortion clinics. All these things are all meant for what? All meant to destroy our people, to keep us in a perpetual state of being, that perpetual state of being destroyed, of not knowing who we are, of confusion. All right. So continue in this article. But stay woke and woke became part of a wider discussion in 2014, immediately following the shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. The word woke became entwined with the Black Lives Matter movement. Instead of just being a word that signaled awareness of injustice or racial tension, it became a word of action. Activists were woke and called on others to stay woke. Like many other terms from black culture that have been taken into the mainstream, woke is gaining broader uses. It's now seen use as an adjective to refer to places where woke people commune. Woke Twitter has very recently taken off as a shorthand for describing social media activists. The broader use of woke are still very much in flux, and there are some who are woke to the broader implications of woke. And that's basically the end of this article. I want to get some videos, because now that article has given you a good idea of how this whole woke thing actually started. Right, it originated from Jake. So now I want to just get some videos going into the same thing, okay, of this whole woke thing. So let me see. Yeah, Sakia, that's my train of thoughts. Let me get this one.
To me, being woke means that you recognize that the world is not a simple place, that everything is not all equal, that justice has not happened yet for everyone, and that there is a lot of work to be done.
Your eyes are wide open and you're paying attention.
And you're reaching out and speaking to people along the way and bringing them on to increase the amount of wokeness in your community.
Being woke is like eyes wide open, everything is clear. You can always see things that other people can just ignore or they just don't know.
Woke for me is just being outraged all the time and being able to stay human and feel outraged about injustice that is happening around me.
It's being uncomfortable all the time and making sure that I'm speaking on behalf of those that can't speak up for themselves.
Some people know what's happening around them, but they are not doing anything. They're just like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's not what woke means, that you actually take it upon yourself to be like, this is something I need to fix.
Yeah.
I need to be part of the solution.
And I mean, the thing is to do that, knowing that you can fix it, whatever your level or platform is, because there's always an opportunity for you to do just a little something to support them.
I also think about what words actually mean and how we give them power, right? Are you just going to wear it across your chest but actually not live it out? Or are you going to give this word a meaning with your actions, with your daily commitment?
And I think in order for us to really progress, we're going to need people to really step out of their comfort zones and have those uncomfortable conversations and not just live in a space where they get to preach to people who already understand what it means.
Couldn't agree more.
I think to be woke means that you are aware of the issues and the world around you. I believe it means that you are engaged in the work of justice.
This is a time where we can't afford to be asleep. We have to be all the way alert.
Without action on the knowledge that we have now, our world will never change. And we need that more than ever.
All right, let me get another one.
Hey guys, are you woke? You've been hearing this word a lot lately, right? It shows up in hashtags, hashtag stay woke, which is usually accompanied with hashtag proud feminist, and people get really intense when they talk about being woke. What does it even mean? Also, it sounds like a grammatical mistake, now. Shouldn't it be hashtag stay awake? Well, that's kind of the point. Being woke basically means being awake. Being awake to the experiences and problems that other people face, especially people from different backgrounds. Being woke means being awake to how lucky you are, how privileged you are. Being woke means being awake to the fact that sometimes, even when you are woke, you can screw up, like Aziz Ansari. And so, you better listen to other people when they tell you you might be wrong. When you're woke, you never ever hear of sexual assault and think, what time was it? Where was she? What was she wearing? Was she drinking? When you're woke, you don't assume that just because you have never had trouble with the landlords and your friends from the Northeast have, it's their fault. When you're woke, you can understand why a rape joke or a racist joke is not funny, even when it makes you laugh. When you're woke, you know that it's not just no means no, it's also yes means yes. When you're woke, you realize that just because you don't need to walk on the road doesn't mean that people don't walk places in this country. When you are woke, you know that the reason you don't recognize caste surnames is because you are lucky you never needed to. Not because caste discrimination is not a problem. When you're woke, you know that men must cry and women can make more money than their husbands.
Alright, let me just end it right there, Yeah. So that's basically what this is all going into, okay? And this is why he is so against this whole thing. This is why you always see all these Edomites, all these Edomites constantly complain about how about this whole shift into this whole woke culture, because it's exposing them, right? It's exposing their wickedness. He is constantly being bombarded on every side about his crimes, and he knows, all right, deep down in his heart, that he's going to have to pay for all this. That them people talking about this means that they're expecting something to happen to these devils. He constantly being bombarded with all the wickedness that he has done all over the earth. He's showing that sooner or later, that he's going to have to pay for all the wickedness that he's done. And this is why they always get so, they're always so heavily against this whole movement of the whole woke thing. That they're always against, when Jake talks about, the hell that they have to go through with these Edomites. And let me get that preset, that they speak loftily about oppression. So let me bring that out, because this is what these devils do. They speak love. Alright. This is the book of Psalm 73. Slovakia. This phone is this phone is not really that good. So I don't really use it much. But anyway, let me get this. Let me find that. Oh, here it is. So this is the book of Psalm 73, and I'll start from verse 3 and I'll jump down to the main points. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked, for there are no bounds in their death, but their strength is firm. And that's right, because that's how this whole woke movement started. It started from that's exactly how it started. It started when people were realizing, it started when Jake was realizing that the things aren't equal. Okay, he's going, some people are getting more privileges than others. That's why you get these terms like white privilege, or rather what it actually is Edomite privilege. Okay, because there's no such thing as white, neither is there anything as black. Okay, because it's just what going by the nations. Right, these are just the whole so-called white and so-called black. It's all social constructs, made by Esau in order to make himself, and it's all part of that whole Edomite supremacy. It's all part of the whole woke culture, because now by using that name, he has made himself seem as an angel of the light, as the scriptures say. No wonder that Satan does make himself an angel of the light, or Satan has made himself an angel of the light. And that's what these devils do. They make themselves seem pure by putting that name on themselves, so-called whites, meaning what's pure, right? So going on. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. And let me go down a little bit from verse 2 verse 8 now. They are corrupt and speak wickedly. Concerning oppression, they speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. That's basically what I was going into, going to the book of Psalms, the 64th chapter, which of course I'll get to this bit later. That these devils are just exposing themselves. They're just speaking proudly about their wickedness. They want everybody to know and everybody to see their wicked actions, man. And then when people start calling them out for it, they get mad. This is how this is the kind of devil that we're dealing with, man. He's proud, and this just shows you that, man, Esau is proud of his wickedness. But when they call him out for it, when he starts getting condemned for it, he starts lashing out and starts talking about, they start talking about how now he's the one being oppressed because people are calling him out on his wickedness. Like the elder Malcolm says, the victim villains. Okay, so of course there are other parts of this topic, and I don't really want to go too deep into this whole woke culture, woke movement thing. Just to stay on the surface to get, to get the meat out of it, because there are a lot of bones in it. All right, you should know how it is, because this whole woke thing, and it has been completely turned from it. It was made in wickedness, so now it has completely gone back, gone wayward. All right. And there being other parts of that topic, and I'm not even going to go too deep into that. I'll stick to the main point, and that being that this whole woke culture or woke movement, it was the surgical strike, right? That's what I wanted to use that word, but basically what it was just a master plan from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to expose these devils on both the right hand and the left hand side. So no matter where he goes to, man, he's exposed. No matter where he goes to, no matter what, even he comes into the truth, and here's the Hebrew Israelites cursing him out and condemning him. He runs, he tries to run from it, and then he goes back into the world, and then he hears all these, and then he hears Jake in the world, the tutors in the world, cursing him out and still condemning him. Nowhere for these devils to run anymore, man. This truth is on their, this truth is on these devils' tail, man. It's chasing them, just like the curses are chasing our people. All right. This truth is chasing these devils, exposing them, and it's just a constant reminder, a dark cloud on their head, showing, reminding them that this kingdom is almost out, man. Barakata Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for exposing these devils in this way, man, and putting these devils in a corner. This is just proof that these devils can't take the Most High at all. So anyway, back to the lesson. Just wanted to, went off a little bit on that, but you're still relevant to the topic, okay? Because the beginning of this whole thing, as this whole woke culture, as you heard from the videos and from the article, it started with discrimination. It started with putting hell on Jake, and then it starts breaking up to different points now in the racial identity. All right, critical race theory, which of course right now it's exposing his wickedness, but that these devils are the reason why I don't really go into it is because I know that these devils are still going to get to it and corrupt it, okay, and I make it look just like this, just like how this whole woke thing started. They're going to do the exact same thing for the whole critical race theory, okay, because this kingdom, right, especially in Babylon, it was built on the history of oppression. His kingdom, this kingdom of both both the ancient Roman Empire and this modern Roman Empire was built on what? Oppression, on wickedness, and that this is what he used to build his kingdom, okay? How did that scripture go? Because how like the others always see rape, robbery, and murder, okay? Because that was his blessing, this sword, and with his sword that he would use to conquer the whole earth. Okay, so this book of Micah 2 verse 1, and it reads, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." And not only do they oppress a man and his house, but they oppress the whole earth, right? It's he that is causing all the evils that are happening on the earth, because now, all right, let's go to the book of First Maccabees. Let me get that real quick. All right, First Maccabees, where it talks about how the first Edomite that came into rulership, Alexander of Macedon, and you can do your research, okay? You can actually look it up, right? Alexander of Macedon is his father Philip, and they go back to the land of Amalek. They go back to King Agag of Amalek. All right, so let me get that precepts. Yeah, book of First Maccabees, the first chapter, and it's going into Alexander and his rulership. Later, these people out here in the world, they talk about how the Bible is a fairy tale. There's no actually any basis on the scriptures, but yet, Alexander, which is basically, according to Esau Edom, one of the greatest generals and conquerors in modern history. Which of course, that's cap, okay. That's BS when you just bigging up his people. But as I was saying, that we know that this dude was an Edomite, right, and his people, and he was the one that brought this kingdom, or conquered this kingdom and brought it into rulership for his people. And it was actually prophesied about in the book of Daniel, the 11th chapter. Daniel, I just spitballing. I don't really remember the exact chapters, okay. And also in the book of Second Ezra, the 11th and 12th chapter that they went into this, showing you once again this is a prophetic book right here, and put some respect in the scriptures, especially the Apocrypha, all right, because it's that bridge between the Old Testament and the New Testament in terms of history and prophecy. So now, First Maccabees chapter 1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. And you can go back in your history books, and this is the exact summary of what happened, because Alexander's father was Philip II, and he was the king of Macedonia at that time, and Darius was the ruler over the Persians during that time. Alexander, he fought against Darius, and he took them over. So I continue from verse 2. And made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. That's right, the rough goats had conquered the ram. That's the going into the book of Daniel, I can't remember the exact chapter once again, Slovakia. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up from before his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. And in the book of Daniel, the 11th chapter, actually goes into this, how Alexander, none of his sons ruled after him, because that the normal feudal or system of monarchy was that once a ruler died, his first son would take over in his stead. But none of his sons actually ruled after him, but rather his kingdom was divided between his 4 generals. And depending on who you ask, the names of the 4 generals might be different, but basically it's Ptolemy, Lasamicus, Cassander, Antigonus, or Seleucus. Whichever person that you ask will tell that, oh, it was Antigonus. Another person will tell that, oh, it was Seleucus. Different people will give you different names, but basically that was what but the original kingdom was given to Ptolemy, Ptolemy, Lasamicus, Cassander, and Antigonus. And I believe don't really quote me on this, because I've forgotten the history, but I think that it was Seleucus that conquered Antigonus's kingdom. That's basically the kingdom of the south, where our people were in. That's why the family of Seleucus, which is where Nicanor, Antiochus the fourth, Antiochus the third, Antiochus the fifth, Antiochus the third, the great, though that's where their line comes from, the line of the Seleucid Empire. Alright, so then, and I also wanted to speak on the Ptolemies a little bit, because they had their own share in taking, oppressing our people, but they were mainly messing with those Hamites in Egypt. But anyway, continuing on from verse 6 now. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. That's basically all I wanted to get. Alright, and I give you the brief history of Esau's first stint in rulership. And Esau is barely even king for Esau barely even ran rulership for his first 100 years, and he's already spreading wickedness and evil on the earth, because this is what this devil is good at: wickedness and destruction. Alright, and then all the way from then up till now, all his evil is being made manifest in this time. All his wickedness, especially on you Jakes, man. Alright, and because it wasn't just, and the thing is that it's not just Jake that has been oppressed. And I mentioned this earlier in the video. It's the other hidden as well that have been oppressed by him. With more and more history coming out exposing Esau's wickedness. From the fact that from the very fact that he changed history, especially the history of the dark nations. The so-called dark nations. With the whole Renaissance, iconoclasm, the destruction of the relics and ancient arts. And going back to a previous video I did about how Esau is trying to destroy our people, man, trying to kill all the Jakes that are on the earth. Then you get into our oppression, the slave trade and the genocides, okay, because he didn't just try once or twice, but multiple times, and this is all recent history. This is all, the past 500 years, the Trail of Tears, the India Removal Act, just to name a few. Both northern and southern kingdom have been through the ringer from these devils, man. The thefts and once again, the rape, robbery and murder. Which is his MO. This is what he does all over the earth. Okay, stealing lands, stealing peoples, stealing nationalities. They call themselves every name on the earth. They call themselves. I want to get this precept, so let me just quickly jump to it, because I think there's something there. That their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever. Let me get that. Okay, yeah, it is. Look at Psalms 49, verse 11, and it reads, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, and that is right, okay, because this is what these devils have done. Africa, named after the Roman general Leo Scipius Africanus, alright? Like going back to the Seleucids I was talking about, we know about the places called Antioch, alright? That was named after who? Antiochus. That was named after Antiochus, okay? Ptolemy, Philadelphia. I believe Alexandria in Egypt was named after Alexander the Great. I believe there was also a place called Philadelphia in Egypt, and I believe also Memphis in Egypt. You also have a Memphis in Babylon. All named after these devils, man. They conquer lands, and then they change the names of those lands and the names of those people as well. This is how arrogant and prideful these devils are. That's why there's so much confusion on the earth. That's why they talk about. That's why there's so much confusion on the earth about the people and who they are. And this is how they have stolen nationalities, because now there's confusion on the earth over who or what nation you belong to. That's why Jake is calling himself black, calling himself African American, which are two names from two different Edomites, Leoscipius Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci. Alright, you're not so-called black, you're not African Americans, you're not colored, okay? Because everybody on the earth is colored. It's only these devils, Esau Edom, that is colorless. And has deceived the whole earth into thinking that he's the default setting, that he's the majority on the earth, that almost everybody on the earth is so-called white like them, when in all actuality he's a minority, alright? He's just he's a base man, a base man, a beast, a devil. Alright. But back to what I was saying. You aren't so-called black and you aren't so-called African Americans, and the same with the Northern Kingdom. You aren't so-called Mexican, so-called Latino, or so-called Native American, or whatever names that you have ascribed to yourselves. You are the Israelites, alright? The Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You are all descended from the house of Jacob, okay? And this is a call to our people, man, to come back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and be delivered from this wicked ass place, okay? Because this is the place of our oppression. This is our captivity, okay? And if you continue to, if you refuse to come back to the Most High, if you refuse to come back to your power, it will be the place of your destruction. So now continuing on, continuing on. But basically, back to what I was talking about, how these devils name the land after their own names. Okay, let me just try and recall back what I was going into. Okay. I was talking about how they have stolen lands, they have stolen people, they have stolen nationalities, they have stolen the identity of the people that are on the earth, and that's why there's so much confusion right now. Especially with this whole woke movement, it's starting to bring more, even more confusion concerning who people actually are. All right, because people are going into, and that's what this whole racial identity is going into. Now people are basing their race, are basing their nationalities based on skin color, based on their location, based on the place where they live on, based on what he called them. All right, and then you also have more, and the other side of this whole woke culture, because let's not forget, even though that he is exposing himself through through the woke culture, through the oppression of Jake, there's that's not his only, that's not the only wicked act he has committed. All right, there is so much more, and this whole woke thing is exposing all of that, and even more so. All right, the wickedness, the extra wickedness that he commits, which is basically going into these lifestyles and these alphabets, this alphabet lifestyle, this, from feminism to the alphabet lifestyle, which both of those things are going off, right? Because both of them are an abomination to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. The woman being over the man, that's an abomination, because what the scriptures say that first and foremost, all right, that what the man is the head over the woman, all right. That is what not a woman to teach, not to usurp authority from the man, all right. And then going into the whole alphabet lifestyle, which of course we know what it says in the law about those that commit those kind of actions, and also those that have pleasure in them that do it. Because when I wanted to do this video, I was watching the Vox channel, that whole middle ground bullshit, about Christians and the LGB alphabet people, coming together, and then you see comment section going on into all about love, and I love my alphabet brothers and sisters, all right. I love my I love my alphabet brothers and sisters. What the script, what the scripture says. Love worketh no ill. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. And also going into what open rebuke being better than secret love. Because these people that are living this wicked and corrupt lifestyle, these are abominable lifestyles, man. This is how you this is how you show your love, by saying that you love them instead of correcting their wickedness. Instead of showing, condemning their wickedness, because that's basically what that is. All right, I'm not going to go into this anymore before he comes out with his hate speech BS. This video was pretty long, man, and I'm going to do another one if it gets taken down. But anyway. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about. This is let me get that definition of this word abomination. All right, this one is getting normally. Let me get definition. So like a definition of this word abomination. All right. This is definition: an abominable act, a disgusting vice, a despicable habit. And continue, the feeling of extreme disgust and hatred. I'm not going to say much about the definition, but now you understand the reason why I call it an abomination, because even the scriptures call it an abomination, because it is an abominable act. Okay, so now and so now let me get this next precept. I was trying to remember. I was trying to give a cartoon of thoughts. So let me get this next precept. Isaiah 3 verse 9, and it reads, Isaiah 3 verse 9. The shoe of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. And once again, this is basically Esau's kingdom in a nutshell, and this whole woke culture in a nutshell. They're just exposing themselves constantly. That everything they do, every act that these devils do is an exposition against them. And it's basically was begging the Most High to judge them, a declaration against them, tempting the Most High through their wicked deeds, and having pride in that wickedness. Like this month right now, what is being celebrated in this month, man, showing you that these devils, they are proud of these abominations, proud of their wickedness, proud of their sin, man. And that's what the scripture said about the show of their countenance doth witness against them, because because now once again going back to them, exposing themselves with pride, with fullness of heart, not even being ashamed, because this is what these devils are doing. This is the thing that is even supposed to. This is the thing that even boggles my mind the most. That bothers me the most. It's literally one of the greatest insults. One of the greatest insults to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You do wickedness, and then you practice it in the light. Okay, you practice. Because it's one thing to do wickedness and hide yourself, all right, but you do wickedness and you practice it in the light. You lift it up to the heavens. You celebrate it, you worship it. Okay, because if you give 30, if you give a whole 30 days to wickedness, all right, that's the same as worship. Okay, you basically worship it in the light before the eyes of everybody that is on the earth. I lift it up to the heavens and believe that somehow, some way, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will not judge you for it. And these devils, man, just exposing themselves, just to bringing it out, okay? Because this wicked acts, that you worship right now in this kingdom, It's the same thing with them, the whole Black History Month, because there's nothing to celebrate about being so-called black, all right? Nothing to take pride in all that. When you talk about I'm black and I'm proud, there's no proud. There's no pride in being black or in being so-called black, all right? And this is exactly what this whole woke movement is going into, because, and let's not forget this whole woke movement is also there's also witchcraft involved in it, you know. There's also so many other forms of wickedness. You know, you can't even go into everything. But all the things that are against the Most High, all the things that anger him, this also called woke movement, it gives it a platform and empowers it and celebrates it. Okay, that's why you have things like the woke church, and you know what goes on in that woke church, man. You know, we don't even need to speak too much about it. You know, the woke church, you know, woke religion, which is basically this whole politically correct, and that's another thing that is a part of the woke movement. This whole politically correct thing where, you know, you accept everybody regardless of what the scriptures actually say about them. That's what's mainstream right now. Even to the point of accepting, I wanted to say even to the point of accepting idolatry, but I just realized that Christianism, Wakitaki Christianity, is idolatry in and of itself. So it's kind of redundant to say that. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, what I wanted to say was get this preset. You know, finally bringing it out. The book of Psalm 64 verse 8. This is what woke culture. This is woke culture right here. Isaiah 3 verse 9, declaring your sin as Sodom, and Psalm 64 verse 8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Okay. So now he's exposing himself, and everybody is now, you know, dissociating themselves from these devils. They're realizing that wait a minute, you know, what's all this? You know, what's all this then? You know, what kind of acts are these devils involved in? You know, even the most hardened, demons out there are looking at these devils. And when I say demons, I mean, you know, the human fleshy ones. Even the most hardened of them are looking at these devils and being like, whoa, you know, this is even too much for me. Right? This is showing you, man, that the scriptures, this is just as the scripture says, this man, he just can't be righteous. Okay, though favor be shown to the wicked, he will not learn righteousness. All right, the wicked are estranged from the womb. All right, showing you that these devils, they can't learn righteousness. They can't even be righteous. You know, they don't have a right. Esau doesn't have a righteous bone in his body. Every act that he does, he's waked from his waking up to his sleep, to his sleeping, from his waking, from joining his first breath to the grave. It's all wickedness, man. And this, it's all wickedness, and these devils have been exposed. It's all come out to the forefront. So now, 2 Thessalonians, I already know what I want to get. 2 Thessalonians, it was 3 verse. It was okay. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 8, and it reads 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And that's right, okay? Don't fall for Esau's system. Don't fall for this everything that the woke movement or the wokeism pushes, okay? You're not so-called black, you're not so-called Negro, you're not so-called Latino, you're not so-called Native Americans, alright? You're Israelites, and don't be part of their whole shtick, okay? What you should be focusing on is this truth, and the truth is what? The truth is that belief in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. The truth is that you are the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israelites according to the scriptures, okay? And that if you do not repent, you will be destroyed with this world. You'll be destroyed with this whole, you'll be destroyed with this system right here, with this, with your wokeism and everything else. And I'm sorry, there's another more preset I wanted to bring out. There's one more preset I want to bring out, but I've forgotten what I wanted to bring out. So I'm just going to leave it right here. So yeah, with that, let's give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rachak Wadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the spirit of Akemayu Akwat are edified. Shalom.